Hello anyone and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney, where, full disclosure, I may not have played this game in quite a long time. I think I mentioned in a previous episode that I would be going away for a while, and I've just got back from that. It was a time that I desperately needed. It does mean that my posting schedule went absolutely haywire for a solid 20 days of no activity there, so my apologies. Now we find out if I remember anything about what was going on. So if I've completely forgotten what the case was or what my voices were, forgive me. I promise I still care. If I remember rightly, we were off to look for Sholmes now. It looks as though the police are still here, carrying on with their investigation. Perfect, so let's find Inspector Gregson as quickly as possible. Oh yeah, Iris gave us a thing, didn't he? Sorry. Yes, and let's see if we'll take a break from his chips to look at that silver tip Iris gave us for him. Hello there. Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment? I'm sorry to say I don't. I'm a very busy man. Much too busy to talk to a pair of foreign gadabouts, that's for sure. We have these for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson. What? From me? From her ladyship? From what now? Her ladyship? Give that here, at once. Come on, hand it over. That's for me. Don't wait for me to give it to you, will you? What was that coin exactly? It's a silver crown, obviously, but it's a lot more than that. It's an appearance fee, that's what it is. An appearance fee? Oh, I see. You mean... That's right, for the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me. Every time! Yes, of course. I know all about your exploits, Inspector. I read them avidly. Of course, so using my name without my say-so does make me the butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still. I am sorry, Inspector. That must be difficult for you. Never you mind that. So, what do you want to know then, eh? Sorry? Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem, it says. Well, obviously it's not a problem. Go on, fire away. What do you want to know? Well, if you wouldn't mind, Inspector. We'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsume's lodgings. Ah, the little knife-wielding moustache Japanese fellow. He lives in a right old hovel. It's just over there, look. So presumably, yeah, the really wonky building. On the first floor of that house on the corner where that wreck of a bicycle's propped up. That is nearby indeed. If I remember rightly, the landlord is a Mr. John Garadeb. Right, well... If you see her again, you make sure you give her ladyship my regards, you hear? Why exactly is he calling her her ladyship? I mean it, you tell her that Gregson sends his very best wishes. Don't worry, Inspector, we will. Goodbye for now, then. And long live her ladyship. Well, that was a bizarre interaction. Well, at least he told us what we wanted to know before he left. Yeah, so then, should we go and see what we can find in Mr. Natsume's lodgings? Definitely! So is Sherlock hanging around in here then? Herlock, sorry. Longku, no. Good grief. I only picked the cats up this morning from where they were staying while I was on holiday, and a certain Gronk is being extremely clingy and doesn't like that I'm sitting down to record. So hopefully he didn't just mess anything up. I guess I'll find out later. May I help you? Ah yes, would this be the residence of Mr. John Garadeb? Indeed it would, sir. And who may I say is calling? My name is Rinosuke Narahodo. Mr. Narahado is representing Mr. Suzeki Natsume. I believe he takes lodgings here. We would very much like to ask him some questions about our client. One moment, please. I shall convey the message to Mr. Garadeb. Did you see that, Miss Sasato? That was a real-life English maid. I know. As I understand it, anyone of standing in English society employs a number of household staff. But that was the first time I've ever seen one in the flesh. Oh, this day keeps getting better. It certainly feels like we've really arrived now, doesn't it? We need only to meet a butler, and the experience will be complete. Well, I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but I understand the sentiment. Thank you for waiting. Mr. Garadeb will see you now. This way. Okay, then. I noticed you have a pile of books here, Mr. Garadeb. Do you enjoy reading? Ever experienced a London winter, boy? The nights are long. No better way to pass the time than in front of the fire with a jolly good book. Oh, there's a copy of Rant's magazine here, I see. No doubt Mr. Garadeb enjoys The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, too. The great detective has a great many followers, it would seem. That's a full-size cannon. What's it doing in here? Oh my, it's real. I thought it might be a replica. That old thing? Bah, that's little more than a toy. Sorry? The army was selling it off when I retired, so I decided to give it a new home. Never know when the enemy might attack next. Jolly useful to have a cannon about the house. Really? It isn't overkill? Be prepared, I always say. You never know what this twisted world is going to throw at you next, boy. Lonku, no. No. Lonku. Do not step on the laptop. He's just standing there. It's slightly alarming. Lonku, are you going to move this century? The answer seems to be no. Okay, he seems to have finally moved, so thanks, cat. Do you think there may be trouble brewing, Mr. Garadeb? Always is. Take JOAN here. Never fails to have a clean apron in reserve. Dries them over the barrel, you see. They dry very well on the cannon there, JOAN tells me, which rather proves my point, I feel. It's been reduced to a drying rack. No wonder the huge cannon looks like it's hanging its head in shame. That uniform looks fairly ancient, doesn't it? It's clearly been well looked after, though. That old thing? Huh, not much better than rags, really. Oh? Well, that ceremonial garb at my retirement bash, you know. But I'm not one for dwelling on the past, me. I would have gladly thrown it out, but you know how it is. Anyway, doesn't it have the old piece of memorabilia lying around, does it? Oh, I see. Perhaps we should leave the past in the past. Are those mortar shells? They're enormous. Ah, I hadn't noticed. What are they doing here? Ah, those old things. Couple little rounds I accidentally fired into the barracks during training, you know. Became a bit of a colourful regiment folklore, that incident. You mean you deliberately hunted out the spent shells? Well, I wouldn't say deliberately, exactly. They're only scrap iron, after all. Usually just thrown away, I believe. But you never know when things won't come in useful, do you? Useful for what, exactly? Yes, well... JOAN here did manage to knock one of the bally things on my foot the other day while she was dusting. Oh no! Hadn't shed a tear since 1869 before then, you know. Maybe reconsider throwing them away? That looks like a Medal of Honor, and it's showcased on a very grand banner. Yes, it's displayed with some pride, I would say, although it bothers me that it's not straight. What, that old thing? Sorry? I should be glad to see the back of it, but the General would turn in his grave if I disposed of it. The wall's the best place for it. Keeps the bally thing out of the way. So it's just been polished to show him by accident, I suppose. There appears to be an inscription on the medal itself. Look. Let me see. It says, "For distinguished participation." Sounds like the kind of honours even I could be in line for. Well, one doesn't like to blow one's own trumpet, but I was given that for my time in the army. Can't measure an officer by a number of medals to his name, of course. Common knowledge in military circles. That portrait of Mr. Garadeb is glaring at me, I swear. Have you noticed that all the little frames contain photographic prints of Mr. Garadeb as well? Yeah, and there seems to be a statue of a lion on the mantelpiece as well. Ah yes, seemed to come back from the local pawnbroker with that little trinket. Seemed to come back? What do you mean? The chap who runs the place is a bally wizard. Went in to sell him something and came out with that thing. In point of fact, now I think about it, I rather often find myself leaving the place with something I don't need. The Lion Ornament certainly does seem surplus to requirements. Susato-san doesn't pull her punches, or her throws for that matter. Look at that enormous screen. It must have been put there deliberately, surely. Yes, it certainly seems like someone's trying to hide something from view. What could be behind it, I wonder? I'm going to have a very quick look, just a little peek. The rug looks all destroyed around it as well. Ahem! Maybe let's not, Miss Susato. I think the maid is going to head us off with a cup of tea. Ahem! Can I not look at the presumably candle and burnt bit on the floor? I guess not. Fun. The window looks out over Briar Road, where the young woman was attacked. Oh yes, I can make out the policeman on the far side of the road investigating the crime scene. The glass is rather murky, isn't it? You can't see very clearly. Does this thing open at all, I wonder? I shouldn't underestimate the bitterness of a London winter, sir. Sorry? As soon as you open that window, the tea will freeze in the pot. No Londoner would go opening windows at dusk in the middle of winter, I assure you. It seems very unlikely that these two would have seen anything of the incident, then. Oh, look! What a wonderful collection of cakes lined up on that gleaming silver cake stand. Lined up? It looks more like someone has half demolished them to me. Afternoon tea is a time of indulgence, you know. It is quite the English way. It is Mr. Garadeb's custom to take 2 cakes with his tea. That sounds delightful. Oh, wait a minute though. There are at least 10 cakes on this cake stand. Well, naturally, and it would never do to waste the leftovers. So whatever Mr. Garadeb doesn't eat, I say to myself, Joan, you shall have to tidy up. How magnanimous of you. Mood, to be honest. Look at this crockery on display here. It's rather unusual, isn't it? Oh my, a genuine London dresser. Isn't this delightful? Although the shelves seem to be broken and the crockery is... oh dear, it's in pieces. It really is. The word cracked wouldn't do that chinaware justice. Ah, I wonder. Perhaps the cannon was fired at it. Yes, probably something like that. Let's not delve too deeply here. Wouldn't the cannon have just taken out the entire wall? But yeah, I think we've seen everything. Good day to you, Jean Garadeb at your service. Pleased to meet you, sir. This is Ryunosuke Nara Hodo. He's a defense lawyer. Do excuse me not getting up. Took a shot to the knee a few years back in the Battle of Maywan, don't you know? Earned a medal for my pains, but have to withdraw from service. Handed over the reins to the up-and-comings. So he's a retired soldier. It's a hell of a job getting up and downstairs now, I can tell you. Don't get out much, as you can imagine. Yes, it's quite a climb up here to the second floor, isn't it? I was panting at the top of the stairs. You really must take more exercise, Mr. Narahado. Do you think so? Well, Mr. Garadeb, no doubt you are very courageous to win yourself a medal. Oh, it was nothing. The medal's just a folder roll, really. Wouldn't like to offend the general, though, so I grudgingly displayed it on the wall. Why don't you fetch it down, Joan? Let these good people see it properly. Joan, fetch the— Ah! Dash it all, woman, be careful. Oh, dearie me. I do beg your pardon, sir. Huh, you jolly nearly took the skin off my hands. I shall be more careful, sir. So anyway, there you have it. Living the quiet life now. Yes, I see. Now then, I hear you want to know about the chap lodging downstairs, is that right? Yes, we'd be very grateful if you could answer some questions for us. Only too pleased, naturally, especially if it helps to keep the peace here in Blighty. We've forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan recently, as I'm sure you're aware. So this case is very much in the public eye, as it were. Oh, is it? Even had some famous detective poking around, you know, in this old house, would you believe? Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Huh, could have been. Didn't catch the chap's name. Not really my cup of tea, all that detective business. Oh, but you have a copy of Rant's magazine here, so... Eh? No, Anyway, the chap's investigating the foreigner's room as we speak. So he's in Suzaki-san's room. It's a bally nuisance is what it is. The whole neighborhood's twitching its curtains now. I don't like all this fuss. It's jolly unsettling. About Mr. Natsume then, Mr. Garadeb. Please, do tell us. Ah yes, the Japanese chap. Only been lodging here for a week. Oh, just 1 week. So he moved here very recently then. Oh, got hiccups now. I have 2 lodgers most of the time. One on the ground floor and one just below us. The first floor room became available a week ago, you see. There'd been— Ah! Dash it all, Joan. Do be careful. Oh my goodness, I'm terribly sorry, sir. If you want to know my opinion, I thought he was a shady sort from the moment I set eyes on him. Oh, why? He seemed to have a most nervous disposition, always shaking and looking over his shoulder. The man had shady written across his sweat-soaked brow, if you ask me. I said to myself, Joan, that man is trouble. Sooner or later he is going to do something untoward. And I'm rarely wrong about anything. We won't be calling this maid as a witness, that's for sure. Was there anything else that struck you as suspicious about the man at all? Yes, oh yes, indeed there was. And she's dying to tell us. Had you noticed anything else at all about your lodger, Mr. Natsume? Oh my word, yes! The man was shadier than an orchard. Could you elaborate? Well, take the man's room. Absolutely stuffed full of books it is. More than anyone could ever read. And he never so much as passes the time of day with another living soul. I haven't seen a single visitor call. He just trots off to that old bookshop every single day and comes back at 5 to light the gas fire. And the funny little man is up long past the time everyone else in the house has gone to bed too. Oh, I see. The gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed at around 9 each night. But I've never known that Japanese fellow to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning. Ah. Could you clarify something, I wonder? What, pray? How do you know so much about Mr. Natsume's routine? Oh! I'd understood that neither of the lodgers live on this floor of the house. Is that correct? That's right, yes. They're both below us, on the first floor and street level. Then, how is it that you know so much about the lives of your lodgers? Okay, my prediction. He mentioned that he'd been to the pawn shop to sell stuff. My guess is they're robbing their lodgers and then selling stuff off, so they need to know their routines in order to do that. The precise times that they come back in the evening, for example. Even the times they go to bed. Ah! Good grief, Joan. Be more careful, woman. Oh my goodness, sir. I'm terribly sorry, sir. Something doesn't add up here. It seems that the incident took place at around 5 in the evening. Did you happen to look out the window at around that time? The window? Yes, we noticed that the window over there looks out over Briar Road. The incident took place on the pavement just on the far side of the street. Was there anyone suspicious loitering nearby? 5 o'clock is dinner time in the Garadeb household, so I'm afraid I don't remember seeing anything. How about you, Joan? No, sir. It would have been dusk outside already at that hour. And with the fog as well, I should think it would have been quite impossible to see the other side of the road. Oh, I see. Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary, then? Such as? Anything at all, even if it seems unrelated. Well... Yes? Was there something, then? Well, it's nothing particularly significant, but around that sort of time in here, there... Ah! For the love of God, Joan, watch what you're doing! Oh, dearie me, what have I done? I'm awfully sorry, sir. Do be more careful, woman. Of course, sir. If I may, Mr. Nara Hodo. Oh, yes? I have an exceedingly good memory, and as far as I remember, nothing of any significance took place here at that hour. Nothing at all. Oh, really? Mr. Garadeb? The way you were talking before, it sounded rather like there might have been. Oh, well. As I was saying, it was just a trifling matter, really. Nothing of... Joan, dash it all! What is the matter with you, woman? Begging your pardon, sir. Nothing happened. Yes, quite. Nothing happened. We sat down to a quiet, uneventful meal, Joan. That's right, Mr. Garadeb. What is the matter with these two? It sounds like something happened here in this room on the evening of the incident, but what? I wish I knew. Was that when the rug was set on fire? Could you tell us which floor Mr. Natsume's room is on? Why, certainly. Just below us on the first floor. And Mr. Sholmes is investigating there, even as we speak. Yes, told me that Natsume's name had told him to look into the matter, so I gave him the key. Mr. Natsume has engaged Mr. Sholmes' services. That's a blatant lie. Would it be alright if we also had a look around? In Mr. Natsume's room, I mean. Don't see why not. It's just down one flight of stairs. Who knows if we'll find anything that could help us with the case, but we have to try. We need all the clues we can lay our hands on, shall we? Yes, and while we're there, we can speak with Mr. Sholmes again. Perhaps he'll be able to tell us more. Well, I guess we'll find out. Okay. Wait, what? The suite on the top floor of the Garadeb household, occupied by the landlord, Mr. Garadeb, and his wife? The maid is his wife? Didn't see that coming, but okay. Oh, this looks fun. What? Just look at this place. And smell it. It's so musty in here. I suppose it's the mountains of old books that are responsible for that. I don't think I've ever seen so many books in all my life. No, me neither. It's so dark in here too. Is that the window over there? Well, it was the window, I think, yes, once upon a time. But for some reason it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. So this is where Mr. Natsume lives. By the way, I haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere, have you? No, that's true, but according to what Mr. Garadeb told us, the great detective should be around here somewhere investigating. Is he behind a pile of books? Oh look, it's a beckoning cat from home. It's a bit big and bulky, isn't it? Surely Mr. Natsume didn't bring that Maneki Neko all the way from Japan with him. I hardly think you're in a position to comment, Mr. Narahado. Are you forgetting the enormous Daruma doll that you brought in your luggage? Well, it can be dangerous travelling abroad. I wanted a lucky charm. Well, I imagine Mr. Natsume wanted the same, and this cat is sure to beckon good luck to him. It's not doing a very good job so far, is it? You mustn't say such things. I didn't say a word. Why are my eyes such a giveaway? Okay, guess whatever that is. See, now it's important. There's supposed to be some sort of meter on the wall here. It looks very robust. I wonder what it's for. There's a slot for inserting coins here too. Ah, I believe that is a gas meter, Mr. Narahado. A gas meter? Yes, it seems there is piped gas in this district, which consumers pay for by putting coins in the meter. Actually, fun story, at my work we still get our electricity by a coin meter. No one believes us when we tell them that, but it's true. So if we were to put a coin in the slot, that would be enough gas to use the lights and the gas fire for the whole night. So if you're too poor to have a coin, you'd have to spend the night in the dark and freezing cold. That's right, as would a rich man who only carried crisp white notes. Ugh, London is a scary place. I was there the other day, actually. Had quite a nice time. Found out that I love the taste of orange blossom and Cart really does not. That was a quality moment, but I digress. Look at all those books stacked up here. They almost reach the ceiling. They're all works of English literature, and they smell so musty. With this volume of books to hand, you'd never be short of reading material, would you? No, what a dreamy idea. A bad dream, maybe, for me at least. Mind you, I don't imagine the book that's at the bottom of the pile now will ever be read again. Ah, so reading is an experience that comes but once in a lifetime, just as the tea ceremony teaches us. I certainly didn't expect the conversation to turn down the path of tea ceremony philosophy. That desk seems to be wedged into a crevasse between the mountains of books on either side. I suppose Mr. Natsume would sit there and read while stroking his cat. But surrounded on all sides by these towering old tomes, surely he dreamt of books every night as well. Yes, he must have done, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from a second-hand bookshop. Your books. Oh yes, Mr. Natsume's name is on it. And look, the date of purchase. Ah, 2 days ago at 4:45 p.m. That's the day of the incident. That's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books. Okay, more evidence. Been a while. I wonder what all of these actually are. 2 shillings. The picture of Monsieur Lecoq could be the picture of Dorian Gray. I don't know when that came out. Don't know on the second one. Canterbury Yearnings is presumably Canterbury Tales. Would be my guess. Yeah, who knows. I'm leaving the most important thing till last, of course. Oh, hello. He's appeared now. Okay, I guess if that's the last thing to look at, we can look at the important thing. Oh! I love you! Oh my, what an adorable little cat. Perhaps he's looking after all the books while his master is away. Also, really unnerving that there's no music here. I keep forgetting about that. I don't know about that. He disappeared into that pile of books as quick as a flash. It was a tricolour Mike, wasn't it? Do they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain? Perhaps Mr. Natsume brought the little creature with him from Japan. That's made me feel homesick now. Already? We've only been in the country for 2 days. I love you, cat, wherever you went. And now, here we go. Ah, look, Mr. Narahado. There he be. Aha, there he is. Where did he appear from? He seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book. I hope he won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, you two. Good day. Now, let me see. Where was it that we met? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together on the SS Beria. Yes, of course, the Beria. And let me see, what happened on that voyage? It was Kazuma Asogi. He died, tragically. But you were a great help to us. Ah yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it? Oh. Well, you seem to remember something of it, at least. What an honour to be remembered vaguely by the great Herlock Sholmes. This is Mr. Oh, no, my dear madam, hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic. This is Brain Attic, the Mind Palace. I gotta say, I prefer Brain Attic, that's much funnier. Mr. Narahodo. Oh, Miss Narahodo. And Mr. Susato. Well, you were close, mate. Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes. I lose the first round. In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my big street suite the day we arrived in London. But some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to a crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes. So they apprehended Sasaki-san in that short an amount of time? I'm afraid the pursuance of new cases dulled my recollection of my past involvements a little. A little? It is a mistake to think one's brain attic has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out the useful ones. Yes, those are my own words of inimitable wisdom, you know, from an adventure entitled A Study in Scarlet. Interesting that they've kept the same name for it, but I guess they have with all of the Sholmes spin-offs. Wasn't it? Am I remembering rightly that it's Sherlock Holmes canon that he forgets that the Earth orbits the Sun because he considers it useless information? I hope I'm not wrong about that, because it's very funny to me. Please, there's no need to quote yourself. I don't always remember my pills of wisdom, but fortunately my associate pens them beautifully. He means Iris, I suppose. Mr. Sholmes? We have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned. Goodness, what an earnest expression! My dear madam, I should be only too pleased. And this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case. We know this to be the lodgings of a Japanese foreign student by the name of Suzeki Natsume. It seems that you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Sholmes, for the stabbing of a young woman outside here on Briar Road. Natsume. Yes, I believe it was a name rather along those lines. But Mr. Natsume denies it. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little? I'm sorry, Mr. Zato, but I have not the slightest idea what you mean. What? I can't believe he was looking Suzato-san squarely in the eyes while feigning ignorance. I assure you, I am not merely feigning ignorance. It would appear as if the pair of you are under some misapprehension. Oh? How? I assure you I have no recollection of accusing your stupid compatriot of the crime. But that doesn't make sense. The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request of me, and I quote verbatim. We need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of a man seen fleeing the crime scene. Ah, a man seen fleeing. There are a number of books scattered on the pavement of the scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe there is a receipt around here somewhere from the establishment in question. So you don't think Mr. Natsume is the culprit, then? That I could not tell you. But it was aggravating my faculties, hence why I returned here. However, this place is such a trove of fascinating books, I found myself quite lost in bibliophily. Do not be deceived into believing that I am a man of leisure. No, no, no. Oh dear. Okay then. Ah, tell me. Have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings? Yes, Mr. Garadeb, a retired military man. It was the first time I've ever met a soldier from the great British institution that is the services. And it was the first time I've ever met a maid from the great British institution that is service. I didn't think it was that funny. I do apologise. As you may well be aware, many households in London employ a maid. Yes, I remember as much in my Great Britain primer. And so conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social standing of those dwelling therein. Betoken their social standing? Sorry? Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath that. Oh, hiccups, why? Gotta take a drink break and see if I can get that to stop. Okay, hopefully that's less dramatic now. In the upper echelons of society, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family. Goodness, how extraordinary. As you can appreciate, for those on the precarious boundary between the middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance. I had no idea. And it is for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs. Specifically in the retired army veteran, Mr. John Garadeb. Oh? Affable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of this case, I am yet unable to ascertain. I'm thoroughly lost on what he means to say. This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot it is to dwell in a place such as this will stab somebody sooner or later. I kind of love that. Mr. Natsume has stabbed no one. Ah, but sooner or later, as I said. I don't believe that's the issue here. About this dark little room, Mr. Sholmes. Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea? No window. Well, I mean, I can clearly see that there is a window of sorts. But it's been completely blocked with bricks. Ah, I see. The answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax! Hey, I was right about that. Sweet. I remember theorizing about this in the last episode, but I didn't bother looking it up because I wasn't that curious. Window tax? What is that? Surely not a tax on windows. Precisely that. Oh my goodness. Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the number of their windows. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home perhaps, rapidly closed windows up. While the rich opened windows here, there, and everywhere. In an effort to curry favour with those in power by furnishing them with large sums of tax money. Imagine it being good for rich people to pay their taxes. Come on, 2021! Although you know if they introduced a window tax now, all the big companies would forget windows existed. Gosh, I hate capitalism. But anyway. How awful and unjust! Forcing people to live in rooms devoid of light. Indeed, disease was rife as a result. So some 40 years ago, or thereabouts, the window tax was abolished. But its legacy remains, as you can see, in squalid lodgings such as these, for example. I suppose Mr. Natsume's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps. Oop, that was Rinosuke, not Sholmes. I'm totally paying attention and not half asleep, she says unconvincingly. It would appear so. I've done a little digging. And discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price. Because the room is so awful, I should think. Apparently Mr. Natsume only moved in here about 1 week ago. Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation. Oh? Still, that is of little relevance here, a matter not worthy of further attention. Are you sure? I'm curious now. Yes, so am I. Well, I believe I've told you all I can now. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. Ah yes, Mr. Narahado. Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law? You remembered that, did you? Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsume, was it? Okay, haven't got rid of the hiccups completely, ignore that. I'm not sure. Not sure? On what grounds? Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday. Really? Well then, I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realised. And so promptly, too. The thing is, it's really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients? To trust in their innocence? Yes. Trust. Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Natsume didn't do it, did he? My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea. Oh, but I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate? Ah yes, that was indeed my initial intention. But there are simply too many fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them. Oh, I see. Nevertheless, there are two facts that I can state quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago is the Japanese occupant of this room, and there are witnesses who swear to having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I can say. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, what is it, Mr. Sholmes? Tell us! I cannot say with any certainty whether or not it is of relevance to this case, but I am quite sure the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something. Well, yeah, even I figured out that much. Mr. Garadeb is... Mr. Sholmes said as much before, actually, didn't he? Anyway, at present, that really is all that plays on my mind in relation to this case. Mr. Narahado. As yet, our investigations have uncovered nothing that could help establish Mr. Natsume's innocence. No, you're right. Perhaps it's time we probed a little deeper into Mr. Garadeb's secret. Just remember, I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. But I wish you every success, of course, Mr. Narahado. A busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. Is he still there? Yeah. I kind of love him. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes? Yes, so true. To be or not to be? That is indeed the question, Mr. Narahado. To be or not to be brushed off? That is the question. The answer is all too clear. Let's leave Mr. Sholmes in peace, shall we? So I guess we're meant to go back upstairs then? That would be a yes. You pair again. Tell me, was the detective chap, I forget his name, still hard at work down there? Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Ah yes, rings a vague bell. Well, that detective business isn't really my thing, I'm afraid. Well, Mr. Sholmes is in his element down there. Jolly good show. Another cup of tea, if you please, Joan. Now then, why don't you tell me what... Ah! The umpteenth time, woman, will you watch what you're bally well doing? I shall be serving dinner shortly, sir. Yes, of course. They do not seem like a married couple. Frightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to take your leave if you'd be so kind. Oh, yes, of course. We are deeply grateful for your assistance. Not at all, not at all. Don't get much chance to talk with young foreigners like yourselves. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck and all that. Perhaps you could see yourselves out. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garadeb is hiding something. And since no other avenue of investigation seems open to us at the moment, perhaps we should do some digging. Hey, I see you there, Sholmes. I'm going to take a quick break though, I'm getting pretty tired, so I will be back soon. Okay, I am back again. It's been a few days, because, you know, I actually have a real job I have to deal with. And therefore I've already forgotten where we were again, so that's always super helpful. I don't think we were getting anything out of these two, were we? No. Would appear that we were not. Kind of forgotten entirely what we were doing. Just let me wander around for a minute until I stumble across where I need to go. Oh wait, wasn't Sholmes up there? I may just be being an idiot. Yeah, there he is. Wow, I'm intelligent. Ah, what's he doing over there? Mr. Sholmes? Aha! We meet again, my dear fellows. Good gracious, when did you sneak in here? Herlock Sholmes, sir, at your service. Whatever were you doing over by the window? I'm given to watching the evening skies, the sunsets, madam. Yet sadly, cheerful as the room downstairs undoubtedly is, it lacks an aperture for such observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner of space by the window up here. Huh, well. Keeping an eye to one's windows at dusk is the prudent thing to do in London, I'm gathering. And one other thing, Mr. Narahado. Oh, me? I thought perhaps you might be in need of a certain great detective's great mind. Oh, is it time for a deduction? I hope so. Wait, he's not talking about... Is he? I didn't expect to be going through that again so soon. Do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? There is a mighty secret in this modest room. My eyes see even the most trivial of trifles. I take it you're prepared, Mr. Narahado. I think so. I hope so. There is just time enough for one of my greatly admired great deductions. Let us conclude the matter before dark. This should be fun. Mr. Garadeb, though it would seem you are a military man of considerably distinguished service, your standing as a landlord is most certainly not what one might call first-rate. I'm afraid, sir, that it is all too clear to me. There are two conclusions I have been able to draw by careful observation of your living arrangements. I beg your pardon. The first is that even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. And the second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you. Mr. Narahodo, look! The old man's broken out in a cold sweat. Unbelievably, it seems Mr. Sholmes' conclusions are both spot on. Well, that never happens. How? How could you possibly? How could I possibly know, you mean to inquire? The answer couldn't be simpler, sir. For in the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of beasts. Okay then. Sure you are, Sholmes. And I know only too well that wild beasts are not easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. This should be easier on my voice than Iris's was. Nature of the beast, okay. It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Thus we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? Is he looking at his wife? Because if so, that's quality. Ah, for a man with a military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your furtive glance, Mr. Garadeb, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. He doesn't have a real lion in here, Sholmes. I'm pretty sure there's not a real lion. Yes, though an army man, you appear unimposing at best. A fact that has fueled your admiration for the mighty lion, the king of beasts. What is this piffle, I ask you? Was he actually looking at the mortar shells? In the end, your admiration became so great, in fact, that you had a living, breathing specimen shipped from India that you tried to keep in this very house. What? Did he have a slap mark on his face? What is going on? Yet living with such wild beast proved more difficult than you had imagined. Oh, Sholmes is such a lovable idiot. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well, yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is? Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. For protruding from it is a handbill advertising a circus show. Ah! Yes, you sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Garadeb. At Batty's Circus. Oh, please don't give us another circus case. Don't take us back to the Very Big Circus. Please, I'm begging. Anyway, the travelling show currently sojourning in a nearby park. I have observed the tents. You sold the savage lion, sir, to the circus troupe. Ignore me slurring my words, by the way. I promise I'm not drunk. It's just been a long day. I most certainly did not. I believe I have made my point. The fearsome beast we're trying to mock in this room was an Indian lion. And a simple visit to the circus now will reveal the lion prancing jubilantly through a ring of fire. Well, that's certainly out there. I'll give him the creativity. Now, Mr. Garadeb. It is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. Amid fits of tears, you let your beloved beast go. The strain of losing something so dear to you is clearly visible in your visage. Visage? I don't know. Excuse me for going a bit weirdly French there. Nonsense, man. I simply... But what, we must now ask ourselves, is the true cause of this pain? It is going to be his wife, isn't it? That got darker than I expected. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it is this pile of bills that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Every envelope contains another demand for payment. Ah. Also, if she's his wife, why is she still being called maid? For cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat and tea. Indeed, feeding your beloved has had a devastating impact on the financial circumstances of your household. And so you had no choice but to let it go. Yes, well, Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I am not mistaken. Oh, dearie me. What could have caused such a destructive outburst? Ah! This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the Tower of Cakes. I mean, I would also look at the Tower of Cakes, but... Ah! There is no creature more dangerous on this earth than a beast with an unsatiated appetite. Was it or was it not once said by a certain noblewoman, if they have no bread, let them eat cake? I think that was actually debated, wasn't it? Food is at the heart of all tragedy, in fact. Whatever do you mean? Having tired of the taste of cake, the beast began to stalk its next prey. I'm sure I need not spell out the nature of this final act of destruction carried out by the beast. There is only one logical conclusion. Worked into a frenzy by hunger, the lion attacked and ate the carpet. Really? That's the one logical solution? The teeth marks in the carpet are a perfect match with those of a lion I once saw in India. What? There's clearly a candle there, mate. Carpet gnawed on by the starving lion. Oh, I love him. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this beastly puzzle. Well, you tried. I'll give you that. Ah! What is the matter with you, Joan? You're pouring scalding hot tea all over me. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Garadeb. I'm afraid I didn't notice. My deductions can be startlingly sharp. It stands to reason that your cup runneth over. Indeed, my revelations can make people spill tears at times, too. Oh. Mr. Sholmes, sorry to butt in, again, but can I make an observation? Why certainly, Mr. Narahado. What is it? Again? Well, your deductions just now... Do you really think a lion could have fit inside a room at this size? Indeed, it is the only explanation for the facts, is it? The terrifying truth all too often lies beyond the realms of common sense. Is this, when you eliminate the... No, it can't be. Ignore me. Wouldn't it be an idea to consider what lies inside the realms of common sense as well? But if an uncaged lion had run amok in this very room, surely Mr. Garadeb and his maid would have been hurt. Or worse. Am I wrong in thinking that's his wife? Because I swear it said his wife on the move thing. Ah, that's where you are stuck. No doubt the former military man held his own against the beast using that large cannon. I thought he said that they sold the lion to the circus. And what about the food? Meat and potatoes are one thing. But I don't believe I have ever heard of a lion that drinks tea. Ah, my dear Mrs. Otto, it occurs to me with some regularity that irrespective of race and breeding, whenever anyone lands on Great British soil, they are infused with a highly appropriate taste for afternoon tea. Is it decaf? I'll take it if it's decaf. Wow, my life is depressing sometimes. Oh, what a glorious notion! Well then, Mr. Narahado, it's your turn to shine again. I had a feeling that was coming. A slight massage, that's all Mr. Sholmes's deductions need. You can do it! Excellent. I've been waiting for my trusty partner in deduction to step forward, Mr. Narahado. We don't even know yet whether or not this is going to help with Mr. Natsume's case. Still, uncovering the truth is always worthwhile, whatever the motivation. Ooh, you'd be fun to have around at parties, wouldn't you? At least, that's what I want to believe. Nah. I'm not sure I trust that with an Ace Attorney canon sometimes, but okay. Let us start again from the beginning. Of Herlock Sholmes's Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Here we go indeed. For the sake of my voice, I can't be bothered reading these again. I'll read the new bits. See, this is going to change everything, though, so is this going to change his later assumptions? I really didn't see the lion thing coming. No, but if you observe Mr. Garadeb's reaction, it rather seems as though some beast did indeed run amok here in this room. Yeah, something with a very fierce nature. But it couldn't have been a lion transported from India. So what was it, then? We must follow Mr. Garadeb's gaze. That will lead us to the true answer. Huh, what's going on there? Is that him and his wife, but the picture of his wife has been... That's fun. I want to see if I can get anything out of this.
Take that!
Behind the lion statue on the mantelpiece, almost deliberately hidden from view, is a photograph. Though I have yet to examine it in detail, I can assure you that it holds the answer. Because I'm employing an extremely advanced detection technique called jumping to conclusions, you see. I love it. What precisely was your intention with that, Mr. Narahado? Just following the natural progression of the deduction. Sometimes the truth hurts. Well, the truth is, you do not have a turn for observation or deduction. Did that hurt? Burn? Yes. A lot. Okay, so it's the mortar shells. Good to know. Destructive creature, and inadvertently looked in the direction of something. Oh, we can still... I hate this about this game sometimes. It doesn't show you the button for examine at the bottom of the screen, so I assume that you can't. These are shells for the cannon, aren't they? So I wonder if it is the photograph, but I had to examine it first. I hate it when this game does that. What a strange place to keep them. I imagine they have some significance to Mr. Garadeb, from his time in the army. Ah, of course, he mentioned a battle to us before, didn't he? Do you remember? He said that he'd been shot in the knee. Perhaps it was one of these that hit him. If he'd been shot in the knee with one of those, I don't think he'd have a knee. If around that size had been his knee, there'd be nothing left of it. Or Mr. Garadeb, for that matter. Yeah. Mr. Sholmes has a Persian slipper. And this man has spent shells. Perhaps it's customary in Britain to display, well, rubbish on the mantelpiece. Let's have a better look at this then. What's this photograph? It appears to be from Mr. Garadeb's wedding. He looks very happy, doesn't he? He does, but you can't make out his bride. As I was trying to say before my capture card crashed, was it meant to be a secret that they're married? Because if so, they really should have checked the move screen before making that a secret. Because I swear it says Mr. Garadeb and his wife. No, how unfortunate. Something must have struck the glass directly over the woman's face. I wonder what happened. Probably best not to delve too deeply there. The glass is broken, so you can't see the bride's face at all. But no amount of cracks could hide the woman's plump form. I think powerful would be kinder than plump, Mr. Narahado. I quite like powerful at that. Yeah, she certainly looks that. There's a lot of horsepower there. Not someone you'd want to upset, that's for sure. Oh look, have you noticed her wedding ring? It's very large, isn't it? Yeah, that's an unusual design. It looks like some sort of embellished sunflower. Just try this, I guess.
Take that!
Yep, seems to have worked. I hate it because I did present that, I just forgot that you can examine them first. Darn it, game, show all of your controls if you're going to show some of them. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that newlywed bride. Precisely, Mr. Narahado. No other explanation could possibly fit. And it's certainly better than the lion thing. Yes, this framed print pictures your wife, Mr. Garadeb. And while we lament the fact that her face is obscured, we can still make out her mighty arms and note the considerable horsepower they must contain. Me. Indeed, surely any woman of such powerful constitution would be honoured to be described as a beast. Ah! Honoured might be stretching a point. Too late. The fact remains that the beast, which so clearly savaged this room, was your wife, Mr. Garadeb. Ugh. That definitely looks like a handprint on his face, and I don't like that. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well, yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is? Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. It's gonna be her hand, isn't it? With the ring. The poor, fragile, defenseless woman is beside herself. Well, I don't know about fragile. Oh dear. Anyway, Mr. Sholmes is quite right. There's no sign of a Mrs. Garadeb anywhere. But it seems there may be a clue as to her whereabouts. A clue that this maid is trying to hide. Seriously, was this meant to be a secret? I wonder why Mr. Garadeb's wife could be. Yeah, there it is. I hate the inverted controls.
Take that!
Your wedding ring gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. I mean, A, referring to her as a beast still is a choice, Rinosuke, and B, how does, like, imagine him actually looking at that ring. He's basically kneeling on the floor in front of her, staring up at the plate she's holding. What is she thinking at this point? Ah! Indeed it does. That flowery band gleaming on your finger gives you away. For it is identical to the one shown on the hand of Mr. Garadeb's bride in this photographic print. In other words, you are no ordinary household maid. No. You are Mr. Garadeb's lucky bride. You are Mrs. Garadeb herself. Again, was that meant to be a surprise? Oh my word! Well, this is a dysfunctional household we found ourselves in. Well, jolly fine detecting, sir. As you rightly surmised, this is the wife, yes, my Joan. Rather let herself go, you might say, but she was a bally quarterback. Ah! It would appear that you don't live in the most comfortable of circumstances. After all, you are a retired army man, yet you're in the business of renting out rooms. Ugh. I would assume, therefore, you have insufficient means to employ a maid. Would that be correct? It's not right, I tell you. I was second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment. A man has his pride, don't you know? My golly, it's a sorry thing when a chap can't even afford to have a single maid in his employ. Oh boy, that's certainly a problem. Yes, here in London one is rather judged. A household cannot be considered worthy of society if it employs no staff at all. Though in my considerate opinion, such concerns about appearances are a folly. You mean Mr. Garadeb has his wife work as his maid? Precisely. Am I right, Mr. Garadeb? Only in company, obviously. But listen here. This must remain a secret. Oh, we're going to expose this in court, aren't we? Tip-top secret. Please. The raging wife. Oh, what a mess. Now, Mr. Garadeb. It is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. Is this where we're going to bring up the handprint? Mr. Sholmes is quite something. He's still calling Mr. Garadeb's wife a beast. Yes, as a woman, that feels rather uncomfortable. Yeah, no kidding. Probably ought to have screenshotted that, actually, because as a woman, that feels rather uncomfortable is still sadly relevant to many conversations. But Mrs. Garadeb is standing beside her husband as we speak. In other words, he hasn't lost his beloved at all, has he? Oh, how true. So perhaps that supporting arm that seems to be propping up his head has some other significance, then. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garadeb's pain is tangible, though. What could that pose of his really signify? Yeah, that'd be it. Don't like the implications of this one.
Take that!
Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that slapped cheek. And of course, the delivery of that impressive mark on your cheek refuses to fade. It was you, Madame Joan Garadeb. Well, yes. I mean, that was an awfully chill way to own up to spousal abuse. You have been desperate to hide the slap mark on your cheek, sir. Ugh. How the blazes. How did you work that out, man? Nothing escapes the notice of one trained in the art of observation, my dear fellow. That's why you haven't looked directly at us even once. Keep your other side from view. Well, Now, let us proceed to the next conundrum. Why were you subjected to such a violent slap? In other words, we must ask ourselves what caused Madame Garadeb to fly into a rage. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, this pile of bills that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Didn't Mr. Shawn say that the bills were all for lion fodder? Yes, but now we've established that the lion never existed. Which can only mean that the thing responsible for gobbling up all that food was Mr. Garadeb's wife. Mr. Nara Hodo, she's a person, not a thing. Yes, well, yeah, this section is extremely yikes. I mean, neither of them seem to be good people. Yeah, as he says, she's also the person who gave her husband a mighty slap round the face. One so hard that it left a perfect hand mark, in fact. Yes, why would a woman want to hit her husband with such force, I wonder? I'd love to know the answer to that question. I'm not sure I want to know. Oh, that doesn't look promising. Ah, someone must be reading this book at the moment. There's a bookmark here, look. Mr. Garadeb is clearly an avid reader. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think this is a bookmark. Oh no, so it isn't. It's a note written in a woman's hand. Oh James, I love you. Yours, Mary. And look next to the signature here. Lip marks made with lipstick. Oh, what a passionate and romantic gesture. Don't get any ideas, Zato-san. Oh dear, I'm sorry. So this bookmark is actually a love note then. So I guess that's probably our, incident.
Take that!
Yes, it is this love note that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Oh James, I love you. Yours, Mary. Passionate indeed. Perhaps the sender of this note, a certain Miss Mary, is the fly in the ointment here. Yes, she does not look happy. Oh! But I don't know the bally woman. You don't know her? The note wasn't written to me. It was just in the book. I don't know how it got there. It was just in there, you say? That's right, that's what I've been saying. Ah! Okay, so current theory. I theorised earlier that they were stealing stuff from their tenants, which is why they knew their timetables so well. Schedules. I can't think of the word that I'm looking for. Maybe it'll come to me at some point. But, if they were stealing stuff from their tenants, maybe that bookmark was in one of his books that they stole. A likely story! Now listen here, JOAN, old thing. I explained at the time. I bought the book at that second-hand place, and that note must have already been in there. So, the previous owner of the book was using the note as a bookmark, you mean? That's right, that's what I've been saying. Ah! A likely story! For heaven's sake, woman, look at the name. It's written to James. My name, in case you'd forgotten, is John. Ah. A likely story! Are you questioning my name now? Oh, it makes me uncomfortable every time that happens. And there we have it. Arouse the suspicions of the female heart and you unleash a beast with the most ferocious bite. Ugh. Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last, unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I am not mistaken. Oh dearie me. What could have caused such a destructive outburst? Ah. This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wondering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the Tower of Cakes. Oh, the candelabra is missing a candle. But surely Mrs. Garadeb didn't eat the carpet? No, of course not. But there doesn't seem to be any doubt. Oh, good lord. Sorry, I just got jump scared by a cat. Tranquil Moorcat, who is actually the quiet one of my two cats, got into my recording corner and jumped up onto my chair's headrest without me knowing she was there. Oh, that actually terrified me, Quill. Tranquil, do you mind? You soft and perfect cat. Oh, I adore this little neck-on. I love her very much, but she's a lot more likely to step on my laptop and or chew my equipment, so I might need to move her from the desk. Give me a second. Okay, well, she hasn't actually gone far, but she's at least off the desk now, so hopefully that'll work. But I was not prepared for that. Thanks, Quill. That the state of disarray that this room is in is a result of her wild temper. No, that's true. So this is the last part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction that we need to fix. We need only to follow Mrs. Garadeb's gaze, and that will tell us the real answer. Alright, let's see what we can see. Yes. Candelabra. This looks like a very old candlestick, doesn't it? The base looks too small. Surely it's very unstable. It looks to me like even the slightest knock would make it topple over. Yeah, that is very poor design. Oh dear, that would be dangerous. Wait, take a closer look at this. There's one candle missing. Yes, I didn't notice that before. Why is that, I wonder? Why is one candle of the three missing from its holder? Because it's been on the floor this whole time. The carpet here has been ripped to shreds. Yes, and according to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, the tears match those made by an Indian lion's teeth exactly. Oh, look here. What is it? If you look closely at the edge, you can see scorch marks. Oh yes, so you can. In that case, perhaps the carpet wasn't eaten in the normal sense at all. Let's rethink this with that in mind. Okay, so we're not acknowledging the candle. I guess we try presenting this then.
Take that!
Yep. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the candlestick. Most illuminating, my dear fellow, and of course, the only possible way out of this logical labyrinth. Yes, the remnants of a ferocious attack in which the carpet were devoured are clearly visible. Indeed they are. The scorch marks at the edge clearly give the truth away. Scorch marks? It would appear that this room is the scene of a little marital altercation. I mean, has the fact that she slapped her husband in the face at least twice since we've been here not already shown that? Mrs. Garadeb's mighty arm muscles left an impression not only on her husband's face, but on the entire room. The force of her strike caused a candle to fall from the holder. And in seconds the carpet was alight, and the whole corner of the room in flames. Sorry, I keep mixing up the voices because I'm not paying enough attention to who's speaking. My bad. Yes, her. For the most ferocious beast in this world is neither a violent lion, nor a vengeful woman, but fire. And in this room, that ferocious beast bared its claws and ran amok. Eloquently put, my dear fellow. So you see, there is but one conclusion here. I love them. After the sparks of marital discord flew, the room was the scene of a fire. I really don't know how this helps us, but okay. Mr. Sholmes, sir. I salute you! Oh. Well then. Small fire. I mean, that's less fun than a starving lion, but... we did the thing. It's these dash long winter nights, you know. Nothing to do but read in front of the fire. Luckily, there's a jolly good second-hand bookshop just around the corner. Buy all my old novels there. And in the pages of one particular novel, you discovered some rather illicit material. For which your wife admonished you harshly, it seems. Don't know about admonished. Demolished might be rather closer to the mark. And beast is most certainly an apt descriptor. Here we go again. And the carpet? Was that destroyed by fire when a candle fell on the floor? Afraid to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. Whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bally thing. I was caught between the old stick's rage and the raging flames. You painted a torrid picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining. Had sympathy for you. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started going up as well. We've had to hide the mess behind that screen for the time being. Over here, Mr. Garadeb. Well, you have nothing more to hide now, if you'll allow me. Had all my favourite old novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh, up in smoke. I mean, very few of the books actually look damaged, my dude. Gosh. And the wife started early things at me. What a terrible sight it must have been. There was I, back up against the window under heavy enemy fire, incendiary books coming 10 to the dozen. Worst of it is, I lost my favourite, book called The Lion's Pride. The Lion's Pride? Oh yes, your notorious love of big cats coming through again. I assure you the title didn't influence my choice in the slightest. So the poor man really did lose something, did him, as a result of the ferocious beast's rampage. Mr. Sholmes's deductions turned out to be correct once again. It can only be described as a great British wonder. I tell you, it was total carnage. Flames everywhere and the old stick in full fettle. Out of interest, what time of day was that? Not sure I can remember. It was 2 days ago now. Let's see. Around 5 o'clock, I think. So at exactly the same time, as a terrifying incident was unfolding outside your window on the street below. Huh, even more terrifying on the inside, I can assure you. The whole of Blighty could have been flattened outside my window at that moment, and I wouldn't have noticed a dashed thing. Oh, really? Well, this is awkward. Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Narahado? What can I do for you? Well, I think we've got to the bottom of Mr. Garadeb's situation now. What's it have to do with Mr. Natsume's circumstances? I can't help you there, I'm afraid. What? My dear fellow, if you recall, I did say as much from the outset. I warned you that although I knew the retired army man to be hiding something, I could not be sure whether his secret would prove to be of relevance or not. I just knew you were going to say that. Now, Mr. Narahodo, you mustn't lose heart. Bear in mind that all things fall into one of only two categories, those relevant to the case and those not. That makes no sense to me. Well, no matter. It is of far greater importance that you make up your mind now. Sorry? Visiting hours at the prison will soon be over. Oh no, is it that time already? If we're to accept Mr. Natsume's case, we have official paperwork to attend to. So that's it. No more time to think. suppose you'd like to betake yourselves to bidding us farewell now. I must prepare supper for Mr. Garadeb. Oh, yes. I'm so sorry. Thank you both very much for your time. And sorry we dragged out all of that into the open. Big yikes. Suzeki-san will be waiting for us. And I'm going to have to give him an answer. Well, hopefully this will be the last segment before the trial. Because I could do with a break in the episode, but I don't want to have 2 seconds before court starts in the next one. Wait, this isn't the prison. I thought I did, but okay. It's time, Mr. Narahodo. We must hurry back to the prison. Yes, I know. Let's hail a cab. Oh. What's the matter? It looks like something's going on over there in front of the Garadeb's house. Oh, hello. I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers. Who are you calling an old man, you rum-looking niminy-piminy? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than I dreamt of in your philosophy. Who's this Horatio fellow, eh? What are you on about? Excuse me? Eh? What the? Who are you now? I'm sorry, it just looked as though there might be some problem here. And my associate here, Mr. Inosuke Narahodo, is a lawyer, you see. Eh? A lawyer? What? If I can be of any assistance, I'd be happy to help. I'm from Japan, but I've studied English law. Ugh. Fine, I'll be on my way for today, but you mark my words. This ain't over yet. Get thee to a nunnery. I'm very worried about all the Shakespearean references they're throwing around with that person. Do I look like a bloomin' nun to you? Are we going to get an explanation for this, or...? I do hope you're not injured. Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so gentle, thank you. What was that all about? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than I dreamt of in your philosophy. I'm not Horatio either. Forgive the inquiry, sir, but... Are you a lodger here? In the Garadeb residence? Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so right. Yes, I do dwell in this humble abode. Mr. Garadeb mentioned that he had another lodger, didn't he? This must be the man. Do you happen to know the other lodger who lives on the first floor? Ah, yes, a gentleman named Natsume. Oh, more worthier pole mist in my battle words never could there be. Sorry, battle did you say? Who is the stronger, Hamlet or Macbeth? Mr. Natsume and I sparred long into the night. I see. I don't fully understand, but it seems Mr. Natsume and this gentleman are acquaintances at least. So, fair maiden, so, good gentleman. Does this mean this is the murderer because of his constant fighting with Natsume about English literature? I mean, as someone who... My mother and my best friend both did English lit at uni, and I don't hear the end of it from either of them on the subject of English literature and spelling and grammar, things I'm notoriously bad at. So I fear. I can tarry here no longer. Fare thee well. I didn't really understand him, but I think he's returned to his room. It seems he's unaware of what's happened to Mr. Natsume, so he can't really help us. With Suzeki-san and that man as lodgers, the Garadeb house is certainly full of eccentrics. Anyway, I'll go and find a carriage. Yes, I'm sure Mr. Natsume is eagerly awaiting our return. Let's hope we can get to the prison before visiting hours are over. I mean, that is what I was trying to do, but okay, game. Oh, it's you. You're here. You came. Locum student Mr. Narahado, Esquire. I can't believe you came back. I'm so touched. We are so sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Natsume. Oh no, think nothing of it. Relax. Yes, that is the face of a man who is relaxed. If I were a cat, I would purr with pleasure at the company of such fine compatriots. Noble, nurturing, never failing Nipponese. Oh no, let's not get carried away. Yet let's please not. I don't have the energy today. Oh, I quite agree. There is nothing more reassuring than the familiarity of one's native land. On the other hand, it is through friendship transcending international borders that one truly appreciates the fact. Such is my belief, at least. It's you! The miserable, rotten spy! Herlock Scholz! Mr. Scholz, what are you doing here? I have no intention of doing anything, per se. Save observing, of course. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Scholz? Well, having encountered some curious reading material in that gloomful room, and having unmasked the secret identity of that eccentric pair, I decided I should drop in on my way home to see how our divested friend is faring. Gloomful room? At least your accommodation here offers a window, my dear fellow. In that sense, it is the superior option. Anyway, I must commend you on your taste in books. My day has been a delight, and cost me not a penny. Ah, you! How dare you, Herlock Scholz! I've had it. I'm through. I'm at the end of my rope. I should never have come to Great Britain. It was a terrible mistake. Haunted by spirits in those accursed lodgings. No doubt my luck will be cursed in tomorrow's trial as well. My whole life has been damned! What are you thinking, Mr. Narahado? He mentioned that once before, didn't he? That his lodgings were cursed, I mean. And there is much truth in Mr. Moustache's words. What? Cursed is a wholly appropriate description, I would say, for the man's lodgings, and indeed for tomorrow's trial. What's that supposed to mean? Okay. I wonder if this is going to be about the whole Grim Reaper and the Bailey thing again. But there are some things that I know that make me wonder. Thank you, Twitter, for that. Mr. Natsume, what did you mean by what you said just now? About the trial tomorrow being cursed? Oh no! Why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous! I was just getting carried away, that's all. I didn't mean anything by it. Oh, I see. That's really agitated him. You don't mean the trial really is cursed somehow? Are you referring to the prosecutor? The Reaper of the Bailey? The Reaper? Oh no, what do you mean? Please, tell me. Summarize it succinctly in 16 salient words. No defendant has ever survived a trial in which the Reaper stands for prosecution. Ever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Good. I wanted to check that. But, yeah. I feel like if you haven't played DGS, trying to get the context from what's happening here, this would be an interesting one to figure out. But also, is this the best thing to be telling a guy who is clearly freaked out by everything? Oh my goodness, can it really be true? That was 16 words exactly! Yesterday, Mr. Narahado successfully defended someone against the Reaper. But then, after the trial was over, the defendant passed away in unusual circumstances. Again, should we really be telling this guy this? Mr. McGill did. What? Ah, I'm impressed, Mr. Zato. You have an eye for detail. Actually, the Lord Chief Justice told us. Mr. Sholmes, surely it can't be that having failed to have the accused convicted, Lord Van Zieks killed the man himself. Oh no, he couldn't have, surely. You have some wonderful notions. Sorry? The man isn't a mass murderer. He's a court prosecutor, my dear fellow. I mean, Ace Attorney history has not shown those two things to be mutually exclusive, terrifyingly. So I'll take that with a grain of salt. Oh, yes. Why, of course he is. Ah, of course he is. Then why are you trying to scare me? It's a very good question. It could be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis. What on earth do you mean by that? Van Zieks is a quite exceptional man. However, in London courts of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every case without exception. Ah, that's good. Suzuki-san looks like he's going to cry tears of joy. As you are no doubt aware, in a British criminal trial, there is both a judge and a jury. The judge officiates based on the letter of the law, whilst the jury offers public opinion and common sense. I mean, based on the last trial, I'm not sure I'd call it common sense, but okay. It is an excellent system whereby the defendant's guilt is considered from several points of view. However, public opinion in particular is somewhat easily manipulated. Yeah, we know that. And also, wasn't it completely useless last time as well, because the judge was just like, we don't need you guys. Have a verdict. Right. Criminals and corrupt lawyers, for that matter, can use it to their advantage. Which was a great example, the last case of that. By any means at their disposal. Oh no, my DGS yawning has returned. Oh, and my laptop's about to run out of battery. Surely these are signs that we're coming to the end of the episode. Anyway, by any means at their disposal, contriving evidence, calling imposters as witnesses, and so on. By such underhand means, those who would want to are able to sway the jury. Which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail. But it means the wrong verdict can be passed. And sadly is, from time to time, my dear madam, it is simply the reality of the situation. And that's alright. However, those indicted by Lord Van Zieks cannot escape justice. Their fate is sealed. Oh my. Though the adjudication may see them leave the courtroom with their freedom. Within months, they all disappear. It is most striking. Disappear? But how? Ah, by all manner of misfortunes, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage. Perhaps they fall into the Thames and drown. Perhaps they are suddenly overcome by a raging fever. Or perhaps attacked by highwaymen. Wow, this dude has the worst luck ever in his connections. Oh no, no, no! All examples of the reality of events here in London, I'm afraid, Mr. Narahado. Huh. I knew it. I'm... dead dodo, done for, doomed! Cheerful note to end that segment on. When you said accursed lodgings before, you were referring to your room at Mr. Garadeb's house, I assume. Do you mean to say you believe the place is cursed? It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain. But I'd only been in London a week before I started to notice strange feelings in myself. That didn't take long then. Everywhere I looked, there were foreign faces staring at me, laughing behind my back. I was sure people were talking about me. I started to become nervous about going outside. They were always staring at me, all the time, from dawn till dusk. So I shut myself away in my room, but even that didn't help. The fear wouldn't go away. Yeah, I mean, this guy is based on a real-life person, which, again, Ace Attorney is a choice. But apparently the real guy didn't have a great time in Great Britain either. I don't actually know what the story behind that is, but it might be interesting to look up at this point. I just don't want to spoil myself by trying to remember who he's based on. You must have been very lonely, having been away from your homeland for such a long time. I've had to move a number of times, most recently to that room on Briar Road, a week ago now. Yes, why did you choose there? It seems a little inconvenient. The rent is cheap. I have so little money, it appealed to me straight away. Of course, I asked why it was so affordable. The landlord just simpered and said, "The room is cursed." Oops! He quickly tried to cover his mistake, but it was too late, so I told him, "If you have something to say, then say it. But if not, don't mention it in the first place." Yes, well said. But it was true. It was all true. You mean, the room really is cursed, then? Ever since I moved into that windowless hellhole, my sleep has been plagued with nightmares. I awake feeling as though I'm being choked to death. Why do I feel like that's going to end up being the gas stove? And in my waking hours, people are stabbed in front of me as I walk down the street. I'm branded a killer, thrown in prison. Nobody wants to know me. I'm surrounded by scary, sinister spirits. If only there was someone, just one person on my side. Can no one find it in his or her heart to believe me? Really, no one at all. I imagine this is where we come in, then. To believe. Yes, to believe. Mr. Sholmes? Ah, me, Mr. Narahado? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about the case on the SS Burrier, if you recall. The Burrier. Ah, that case. The one with the snake. Well, yes. At that time, I was the suspect, but you believed in me and listened to my side of the story. Is that really how it went? I seem to remember him accusing us of murder, but I guess he did let us look around and everything. And you helped us to investigate. I did I? Interesting. What I want to know is, why? Why did you believe me? I see, yes. You mean... because you were a grimly dressed, shady Eastern fellow found with the victim in a locked room? Well, if you like, yes. I'm a little surprised that the answer requires explanation, my dear fellow. It's quite simple, really. You said, "I didn't do it." But I could have been lying. Surely you must have had your doubts. You must have suspected me a little. I think perhaps you have misunderstood. I neither recall believing in you, nor in that which you were telling me. What? You see, the only things I believe in are those I choose to believe in. What? What do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? I make up my own mind about what is to be believed and what is not. If I should like to believe in something, I do. The circumstances can hang as far as I'm concerned. Ooh, that's an attitude to have. Like, it's kind of endearing in this character, but looks at the state of the world right now and fears. But I could have betrayed your trust. In that case, I should have made an elementary error of judgment, nothing more. Betrayal of trust is no used excuse, in my opinion. Meaning? Whether or not one should trust another is, in the final analysis, down to oneself. It is a matter of whether or not one can trust oneself. Yes, he's right! He's right, locum student Mr. Nara Hodo, Esquire. whether or not I can believe myself. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. Oh, I miss you, Kazuma. You and your weird headband. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. You were so right, Kazuma. Oh, we couldn't get a partner in there? That would have been great. This is going to be a long episode. I'm recording for almost 2 hours again, but I haven't had a good break yet. Well, my dear fellows, it is time we were leaving, I believe. Already? Visiting hours are over. The guard will be here shortly to escort us out. There is a restaurant near here that serves excellent trout. Would you care to join me? Oh dear, there is never enough time, is there? Mr. Natsume. If you'd like, in the trial tomorrow, I'd be happy to represent you. Locum student, Mr. Narahado, Esquire. As I said, I only experienced the British courtroom for the first time yesterday. And although the man I was representing was found not guilty, I lost sight of something crucial. Something crucial? What to believe in? The defendant, justice, or the truth? How to believe, even? But I think I've finally worked it out. I've decided I must believe in myself above all else. To trust my instincts. Yes, Mr. Narahado. Sorry, wrong character again. I can't read. And my instincts are telling me that you, Mr. Natsume, are innocent of this crime. And it's imperative that we prove that in court. Locum student, Mr. Narahodo, Esquire. I will fight for your innocence until the bitter end, with every weapon available to me. So I hope you'll permit me to represent you tomorrow. As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who will listen to me, in my native tongue. Of course, Mr. Natsume. It would be fair to say, Mr. Narahodo, that your mind was, in many ways, made up from the outset. You merely needed the events of today to fully realize it. Yes, I think you're right about that. It's been a roundabout journey, but I got there in the end. Of course, that's how they showed it. Miss Susato, yes? Would you be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in court? Absolutely. As I said this morning, you may consider me your personal judicial assistant. Woohoo! Always wanted one of those. The shocking events of yesterday's trial still weigh heavily on my mind. But it's time to stop looking backwards. Kazuma believed in me, and Mr. Sholmes believes in me now too. So it's time. Time that I learnt to believe in myself. Saseki-san has no one. He's all alone. So it's my job to help him. To fight his corner. Tomorrow, in the courtroom, with all the strength I can muster. To be continued? Yeah, finally. I'm having fun, but man, this has taken a long time to get through this episode. So I will be back soon with the court portion of the trial, I guess. And until then, thank you for watching, and goodbye.